Hey gang, Ronan here. As you can see in this game, I am playing the Tier 9 Russian destroyer Udaloi. Now, if you're not familiar, the Russian destroyer line splits after Tier 6. So you go from the Gnevny to either the you go from Gnevny to Minsk, and then from there you either go to Ognovoy or Kiev. Now, Ognovoy leads to Udaloi, which is a ship that I'm playing now, which leads to the Grossovoy. If you take the other path from Minsk, you would go to Kiev, and then to Tashkent, and then Khabarovsk. Now, having said all of that, a little bit about the particulars of the Udaloi. Once you have the ship fully upgraded, you've got, well, I'll cover the guns first. You've got 3 turrets, 2 barrels per turret, for a total of 6 guns. They're typical Russian railguns. They're very good guns. They are 130s. The reload time is a base 5 seconds. Firing range base 11 kilometers, which you can see I've got that increased a bit. The red circle is the range range on it. So it's fully upgraded. This is how you can get this thing kitted out. 10-kilometer torpedoes, which is the blue circle around my ship on the minimap. 12.1 kilometer gun range. And what else can I tell you about it? Maximum HE shell damage is 1900, and the AP has a maximum damage of 2600, which is actually pretty nice. Now, you're not going to often get an opportunity to really make use of that AP, but when you do, it can really cause some damage. The torpedoes, well, they hit fairly hard. I mean, they've got max damage of 15,100 on the upgraded torpedoes with the 10-kilometer range. They are reasonably fast, but by the current standards of the game, fairly slow. 60 knot base speed. Now that's 60 knots is not awful, but by the current standards of the game and kind of how things play now, it feels very slow, especially if you've been playing any of the pan-European destroyers that have speeds in the 70s and 80s, upwards of 90 knots, or if you're playing any of the new high-tech homing torpedo submarines with their basically laser beam speeds. Anyway, I won't get into that. So you can see there, 2 tubes, 5 torpedoes per tube. Hit fairly hard, as I mentioned. The torpedo speed 66 knots, excuse me. AA defense, well, you've got defensive fire, but the AA on these things is pretty pathetic. Now, typical of Russian destroyers, the detection range is really not good at all. It's really not good. Base surface detectability, what is it, 8.6 kilometers? So you can get that down a little bit, but any stealthy destroyer is going to outspot you by quite a margin. You can see I'm able to smack the Gneisenau now there fairly well. And here come torpedoes, which I think I'll be able to avoid here pretty easily. There was an Akazuki up there. So we got a fire now burning on Gneisenau now, and that'll be a perma fire, so I'll just let that go and see if I can't get a fire started on the Missouri. Now the Missouri, he's got radar, of course, but I don't think he's going to be able to get me. He's falling back. was really hoping that the fire would finish off the Gneisenau, but Artegrosse finished him off. And I opt to move because I know that there's a red DD north of my position, and I can move out of the cap, out of the way of another torpedo strike into the smoke, and then just move right back into the cap. Now the speed on this ship is nice. You got a maximum speed of 40 knots, you put a speed flag on there and you can do a little bit better than that. And as I was talking about a minute ago, you're not going to outspot anybody in this thing. In fact, you know, you can make an argument for not even worrying about your detection range and just using this as a long-range HE spamming gunboat. And that actually can be a great way to play the ship. Myself, I generally will take the concealment module, and then sometimes I'll take the concealment commander skill, sometimes not. Or I'll take a different module and definitely take the concealment commander skill. So you can see my base detection range, 7.2 kilometers. You can see that on the mini map there. And I don't think this Izuma knows that I'm here. But now he does. But is he zoomed in? Is he just focused on the Mogami? Alright, the Akizuki takes out our Venom. I find myself detected here and kind of surrounded, so I'm going to smoke up. Hope that Eat Apricots was not paying any attention at all. And it kind of looks like he wasn't. I don't want to back up so far that I get in trouble with that ship. Yeah, he repaired just in time for the torpedoes to arrive. Now I know the Akizuki was in the cap, so I'm going to angle up against the likely approach of his torpedoes. Gneisenau's got 7 kilometers range on his, I think, on his torpedoes. So I should be out of range from the Gneisenau's torps. I'm going to hope I can get somebody spotted here. If not, I'll just move. Now, the one nice thing about the current situation, squaring off with Akizuki, is his detection is not going to be much better than mine. Pop out here and see if I can see him, and I do. Right back into the smoke. Now I know where the Gneisenau's at. Maybe I can get him burning. And this is where this ship really shines. This, and really the Tashkent as well. HE spamming. Now the Tashkent, it doesn't have access to 10-kilometer torpedoes. So from that standpoint, I kind of like the Udaloi in terms of play style a little bit better. It does open the door to more opportunities to use the torpedoes, but really today, the way the game is with so much 12-kilometer radar and all the CVs in the game. And Missouri's radar does pick me up. So I'll just go ahead and see if I can't get him burning or help finish him off. There's a decent shot. Aiming a little bit too far forward on that last one. There we go, that's into the superstructure, which is beginning to look a little saturated, but I'm still able to do decent damage there. You can see his heel is working overtime as he slows down a bit. And thank you, Alsace. Alsace provides me some cover. Yeah, in quick succession. Reds should lose Gneisenau, we lose Alsace, Reds lose Missouri. And of course I'm taking some fire, but this is all blind fire. And Alsace did help me to stop. Now, Flint is smoking up. I don't have any more smoke, so everything I do now has to be open water gunboating. Now, Flint, those guns are pretty gnarly. You can hear the De Grosse behind me. Why he felt the need to push up immediately behind me, I don't know, but he did. And I'm going to hope to go dark. Get behind the island here so the Flint's guns can't tear me to shreds. Now you can see that on the minimap, we've only got the one cap. While all this has been going on over here, the bad guys have secured Alpha and secured Charlie. Our KGB, he just ran for the hills. He had a Hipper and Iowa and a pair of Fletchers kind of pushing that way. So this is going to be a real uphill climb. You know, it's debatable at this point whether you have much of a chance. Yeah, we're still got 8.5 minutes in the game. And yeah, you know, both teams have lost 5 ships, but the fact that we're down so many caps makes this really tough. Now this might be an AP opportunity for me here. Nope, Flint's going to be dead. Whether it's me or someone else, he's gone. So I'll help with finishing off the Lyon, I guess is the right pronunciation there. Probably really should be firing AP, but and I need to head south. Lyon is dead. And we've got a Megami, De Grosse, and a Colorado, and a KGV up here versus one destroyer, whereas on the south side of the map, well, we just lost our Atlanta. We've got a La Fantasque, which has no chance against 2 Fletchers. So we've got 2 Fletchers and an Iowa, and they're going to finish off that La Fantasque here in a second. And there it goes. Now I'm detected, so I gotta angle a little bit here. I don't want to get blapped by the Iowa. And I'll put some guns on the Fletcher. Now I can see one Fletcher, and I'm expecting torpedoes from the other to come rolling around there in a second. Now hopefully that'll finish him off. Here comes the shot from the Iowa. And looks like the Hipper's putting guns on me now from inside the cap. All right, so see if I can help finish off the Hipper. I've got Colorado backing me up now, so I'll need 4 or 5 volleys. Firing a little too high. Kept expecting him to turn out. He finally does. And I don't think I'm going to be able to get him. There are the torpedoes from the Fletcher. Alright, so the bad guys have over a 200-point lead. Our Mogami and De Grosse turned around, which just leaves the Akazuki to just do whatever he wants. He's going to be able to take that cap again. I think Mogami should have just kept going that direction with the Gneisenau, but what are you going to do? Maybe the, not the Gneisenau, the De Grosse. Maybe De Grosse will be able to help with the Iowa here. I've got to be really careful about incoming torpedoes myself through this gap. It's very likely the torpedoes will come through there trying to hit the De Grosse, which I'm sure is detected. Grosso does a little damage there to the Iowa, debating about firing and decide I'm going to go ahead. And there's definitely somebody ahead of me, and that's got to be the Fletcher. Akazuki, as expected, is taking the Bravo cap. There he is. Really hoping Mogami can do something about that, but Mogami is sailing broadside to the Akazuki, and unless the Mogami is really good aim, Akazuki can actually win that fight. Akazuki's still got a lot of HP. Fletcher detonates our De Grosso. That is just depressing. My torpedoes miss. I'm going to take some damage here. Well, it's kind of reached the point of desperation. Akazuki's in the cap. Mogami's pushing straight at him at this point, which I think is what he should have been doing earlier. But water under the bridge. KGB is out ahead of him. Akazuki does finish off the Mogami, and that's disappointing. And, you know, I'm trying like crazy to finish off Iowa, but he gets a really good shot there. Our poor Colorado, I think, kind of a new player, and he's in a ship that moves at the speed of smell, so he's going to be of limited assistance here, I think, though I'm sure he's doing everything he can. Now, I have to hope that I can spot the Fletcher. KGB did pick up the Alpha cap, and he and the Mogami kept the Akazuki from taking the Bravo cap. So at this point, we've got 3 caps, but KGB against an Akazuki, that is really not a good matchup for the KGB. Akazuki can just keep running, throwing torpedoes over his shoulder. And with the amount of HP the Akazuki has, well, KGB is showing a lot of side there to the Akazuki, so I expect we're going to see the KGB get sunk by torpedoes. And the Fletcher is now in the Alpha cap, so I'll be able to take the Charlie cap, I think. But with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left in the game, I think this is probably going to be a loss. Now, why do I say that? Well, KGB, as I mentioned, does not match up well against the Akazuki. Even if the Akazuki doesn't have smoke, he is fast enough, just barely, to be able to keep ahead of the KGB, and he can just keep throwing torpedoes over his shoulder until he lands one. And one is probably all it would take, given where the KGB's at in terms of hit points. I'm trying to get the Colorado to go north. I want him to get out ahead of the Akazuki, who might actually be running for the Delta cap. To me, that's the only chance of catching the Akazuki, is to get ships on either side of him and have him run right into one. Fletcher takes Alpha, and that's even before I've managed to secure this cap, so it's looking more and more grim here. I am seriously doubting that I'm even going to get another shot on a target. If I were playing the Fletcher, at this point I would just be running for Alpha 1. I would just be running for the corner of the map, just to make sure I don't get seen. He's got almost no HP, 1 volley from my ship, and he'd probably be sunk. So he's just going to stay out of sight. He's already secured the cap. He did his job, and with only 1 minute and 3 seconds remaining, that's probably enough for the win. But having said all of that, this is a fun ship to play, and in fact, I like all the Russian destroyers. If you like playing gunboats, I think you will really enjoy the Russian destroyer line if you haven't already played it. I have, well, all of them. I've been playing this one a little bit, trying to bring up the win percentage, because I raced through this like so many people do, and win percentage in a couple of the mid and higher tier destroyers in this line was not all that great. So this was a little disappointing, because that certainly isn't, this loss is not going to help that, but still a very fun game, and I think it highlights the capabilities of the ship fairly well. Thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.